Hey, what's going on? So, I had plans to try and spend as much time as possible at the track. Um, Obviously, the global pandemic has kind of changed that. So, so yeah, um, no track, no drag racing, no unessential or non-essential activity, basically. So, unfortunately, due to the global pandemic, there will be no drag racing until um, we're thinking April 30th. Maybe later. I don't know. But anyways, it gives me some time to kind of play with the car. There's not really a whole lot that needs to be done. It's kind of done. Just a few little small things I've been meaning to kind of mess with. One of those small things is replacing the radiator fan. The radiator fan that's on there. Sorry, I'm watching the Freedom 500. So, gotta stay entertained somehow. I've been meaning to replace the cooling fan on this thing because the fan that's on here is one of those little eBay deals. So yeah, the radiator is one of those little Civic half radiators, and it usually does a pretty good job at keeping this thing cool. Like when it's cold out, it's great. As long as the car is moving, it's great. Once I get into traffic, temperature just starts to creep up, and then it never comes back down. It'll just keep going and going, and the temperature never goes back down. Um, so, so I don't think there's something inherently wrong. I've flushed the system. I've replaced the thermostat. I've done all the stuff you're supposed to do. I added a little air dam in there. You can kind of see that guy. So that the radiator is not sucking air from inside the engine bay. It's sucking it only from the front of the car. All that stuff helped, but still didn't help the issue in traffic. So I figured it's the fan. So I did some research, went out and bought a nice Spal unit. It's their 12-inch. And so what I'm going to be doing is putting this guy on. So yeah, I'll be installing the Spal and seeing if it makes a difference. Hopefully it does. So anyways, this is a Spal unit. But anyways, first thing I noticed about this thing, it's substantially heavier than the eBay unit. It's much better design. Everything is like staked and waterproofed, and it's just nice. So the thing I don't like about it is that it's 155 bucks, and it doesn't come with any mounting hardware, and it doesn't come with a connector. It comes with a connector on the fan, but they don't include a pigtail for you to wire into your vehicle. They do sell a relay kit that has a pigtail attached to it, which is like 30-40 bucks for the relay kit, which is kind of expensive for a $10 relay and some wire, but whatever. And you can buy the mounting tabs separately. The tabs are about $2 a piece, I think, or maybe a little more. So it's kind of annoying that it is fairly expensive, and then all the accessories are also fairly expensive. You can buy, like I said, you can buy an eBay fan for 15 bucks, and it comes with the mounting tabs and everything you need. Yeah, it's a crappy fan, but you've got 15 versus nearly 200 once all is said and done. Pretty huge discrepancy, but everyone says they're worth it, so we'll be putting that guy on and seeing if it's true. Like I said, I was having an overheating issue, and so I decided to go with one of these guys. I did some research as far as the Spal fans and just what fans in general. So, what's really important aside from just CFM is the amount of torque the fan actually produces. So your eBay fans will generally draw maybe like a couple of amps when they're running, not really a whole lot. This sucker will draw 30 amps continuous when it's running, which is why it's important to add a relay in line that goes directly to your battery. Otherwise, you may burn up your factory wiring or pop some fuses and stuff if you try and run this directly off the factory wiring that normally controls your fan. Alright, so basically what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and get the old fan and shroud off the car and just throw them both up on the bench and kind of just, I don't know, compare the two of them. Alright, so we can see the two fans side by side. You can see the difference. That is actually quite a difference. You can see the motor on the Spal fan versus the motor on the eBay fan. Yeah, that's... So yeah, right here stamped on the eBay fan it says, 12 volts, 80 watts. So that's about 6 point something, let's just say 7 amps. Versus this guy, where they recommend a 40 amp fuse to keep that guy happy. So yeah, that's a pretty substantial difference. Give you a quick little display of just the sound of the two of them. Yeah, it's not too bad. I did this earlier, so I'm gonna have to try and hold this guy down. Jesus Christ. That is quite a difference. Just here's some more pictures, so here's the eBay unit. This hub's pretty large compared to the fan blade area. You can see the fan blade area on the Spal unit is quite a bit bigger. In fact, the Spal unit is actually a little bit bigger, like in total, than this guy. So I kind of feel like I want to trim this out because its hole in this is a little bit smaller. It just seems like way too much work. I'm not going to do that right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the mounting holes that are on the, just hard mount it to the fan, and just drill new holes in the shroud because that just seems to be the easiest thing to do. I think I'm also going to cut the hole out of the shroud and make it a little bigger because right now, yeah, you can kind of see that the fan is quite a bit bigger than the hole, so I think I'm going to try and trim that out a little bit. So yeah, these are lock nuts, so hopefully vibrations won't shake these loose. Alright, so got the new got the new Spal fan installed, had plenty of room, so that's good. Yeah, I guess I'll give her a test, see what she sounds like, and then tomorrow I'll give her an actual test drive and see if she keeps the temps down. Alright, so yeah, that sucker moves some air. With the old fan, like if I put my hand in front of the radiator, I could barely feel any airflow. With my hand in front of the radiator, I mean, you can feel that thing is definitely moving some air. Or definitely moving a lot more air than the eBay fan was. It's also really freaking loud. That thing is super loud. Another funny thing is, like, with my feet hanging out from under the car, I can actually feel like the air moving up under the car from how much air this thing's moving. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how she does in the morning. So until then. Alright, so what we have here is pretty clear evidence of a fan that's working correctly. So what we're going to look at is this trace here, this middle one. So the white one is before the Spal fan, and the gray line is after the Spal fan. So they're not exactly identical because this one involves the vehicle warm up and the drive home. This one, the vehicle was already warmed up when I started the log, so everything's it's still my drive home, but like I said, I warmed up the vehicle and then I started the log, so it ends. Ideally, they should have been linked up almost like, pretty close to the same, because it should have took me the exact same amount of time to get home, thereabouts. But But anyway, so they're not identical, but they're the same length of time for the most part. So anyways, so this white line here, this is my drive home, and you can see how the temperature just rises and rises and rises until it peaks, and it actually peaked here at 249 degrees. That's way too close for comfort for me. So this is with the gray line is with the Spal fan, and you can see that the level stays, it's set to come on at 200 and go off at about 180. So you can see here where it comes up, it gets up to 200. So you can see these, this is actually, kind of cool. So you can see where the coolant gets up to 200 degrees, the fan comes on, drops it down, and then doesn't come back on until 200. You can basically see the cycle continued. This is me driving, so basically the only time it actually gets up to 200 is when I stop at a light. So this is probably a red light here. It gets up to 200 degrees, fan comes on, drops it down, drops it back down to 199. And it stays at about 199, drive. This is when I get into heavier traffic here. Temps kind of come up a little bit more. Gets up to about 206, fans on, and then brings it back down to 200, a little bit below 200, 192. The thermostat's 192, so that makes sense. So it brings it down, and then you can basically see these cycles where it comes on, cools off, comes on, cools off. Whereas this fan is on the white line. That fan is on basically the entire time. The minute it doesn't drop below 200 degrees at any point. So yeah, you can see basically the fan's on the entire So the fan's on the entire time. The temperature does not ever drop below 200 degrees despite that fan being on the whole time. Whereas every time the Spal comes on, it drops the temperature down pretty drastically. Whereas this guy just kept going and kept going and kept getting hotter and kept getting hotter, and like I said, peaked at 248 degrees. So yeah, I would definitely say that was a worthy investment. The fan definitely did the trick. It's definitely doing a great job at regulating temperature. I was kind of worried there was something wrong with the car because it just kept overheating like this. I mean, it would be fine in the morning when the sun was down. It was like 70 degrees, and my drive to work basically was non-stop. I didn't hit any lights. Temperature was pretty nominal, but right about here where I hit the busy part of town and traffic slows down and I'm regularly at lights, and that temperature just starts skyrocketing. But same thing with this guy, just hit the same point. You can see where it does start getting hotter, but the fan's definitely doing its job at regulating the temperature. So was it worth $160? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's the way I look at it is it's insurance. You don't want to overheat a $3,000 built engine because you decide to put a $15 eBay fan on it. So yeah, definitely spend the money on a quality fan. Till next time, guys.